Welcome to everybody. So then we're going to start the class today regarding the mindfulness of breathing meditation. So as I already mentioned before, the whole explanation, what I'm going to give now, it will take about 1 hour, but this can be explained within 10 minutes actually. The reason why it would take so much time, it is that for those who want to have a more detailed explanation, so then to have any clarification, many points regarding this mindfulness of breathing meditation. And I'm going to give all the most important details, some technical terms which we're going to encounter. So for those who have a better knowledge, a better grasp, so it is good to watch this presentation. So then those who already watched it, of course, it won't be of much use, except if they want to refresh their knowledge. So therefore, and otherwise they can skip it. And they can join the session after 1 hour, the time when we start practicing what's called the meditation itself. So therefore now, after the presentation, I will summarize again everything before we start for the practice. I will summarize within 5-10 minutes everything. So then you can actually keep everything in mind so that you won't forget what has been said. So now regarding this mindfulness of breathing meditation has been, this meditation has been taught by the Buddha himself. He practiced it. He used it as a basis for his enlightenment. That means after he attained very high degree of concentration, he used this concentration in order to analyze mind and matter and to practice vipassana, through which he attained enlightenment. So he praised this meditation many times in many ways. So that's why he says, this concentration, samadhi, through mindfulness of breathing, when developed and practiced much, is both peaceful and sublime. It is an unadulterated, blissful abiding, and it banishes and steals evil, unwholesome thoughts as soon as they arise. So now here the Buddha speaks about samadhi, the concentration. Therefore now we must understand this meditation has its aim to attain concentration of the mind. So when that is attained, then of course one can feel the peaceful and sublime abiding. So it is the reason why the Buddha insists on samadhi, to concentrate on the breath and to attain this kind of concentration. So it is because our mind is scattered all over. It has a tendency all the time to be dispersed, to go outside to external objects. And that is why we are, as called, our mind gets fragmented, as called entities not unified. Through this meditation, our mind will becomes unified and it has the power, as called, to generate this kind of blissful abiding. So as the Buddha says, this flickering, unsteady mind, difficult to guard, difficult to tame, the wise person strengthens it as a fletcher strengthens an arrow. So therefore now the meditators aim it is to strengthen the mind. So, and the simile is like as called a fletcher strengthens an arrow. This is the task of the meditator, to bring the mind into a very, not in a crooked way, but to strengthen it, to make it as called easygoing. So this kind of taming the mind, the Buddha tells about this, that a tamed mind brings happiness. An untamed mind is a chaotic mind. it is disordered mind. There is no order in mind. So then, but through concentration, the mind can attain a certain order. So, and once the mind attains an order, there is unification, and there is also happiness, as called arises. Otherwise, the mind gets confused. If the mind has no order, it is chaotic, is confused. A confused mind can never achieve happiness. So now, in our most of the time, our mind is fragmented because it gets so much information from the external world, and also from internal, that's called thoughts and ideas which come. So it is fragmented. So, but concentration helps to unify the mind. If one focuses a certain point of attention, so that is where one can achieve oneness of the mind, or sometimes called one-pointedness of the mind. This is what the Buddha tells. It is called Chittasa Ekagata. Sometimes I'm using these Pāli terms for those who want to check the terminology. So therefore now this is the aim of concentration, to attain oneness of the mind, unification of the mind, and to avoid this confusion and fragmentation of the mind. So then, before starting explaining the whole technique, how to concentrate the mind on the breath, the Buddha describes how to sit, it's called first with the body erect. That's why he says about the sitting position, sitting down, folding the legs crosswise, and setting the body erect. So I put also the Pāli text for those who want to check it. So here it is, to sit down is one way. Now the second is folding the legs crosswise. We'll explain. For some people it's easy, sometimes for some people it's not easy. I will explain the alternatives, how to sit in a different way also. But setting the body erect is a basic thing which a meditator should keep remembering, that the body should be erect. So then now the Buddha describes here the full lotus posture or position, which you can see both heels are on the thighs. So that is the most common practice by usually in yogis, and also in ascetics in India when they practice meditation. And this is also the half lotus position, where one heel is on a thigh. So another position is called Burmese, where both heels are on the ground and slightly far from the body. So in order to sit in these positions, one can use a half, to sit on a half a cushion. So, and it is easy to maintain the body straight and to strengthen your back. So this is important. And now regarding the arms and legs, you can place them comfortably the way it is shown in this picture. You also may place either your left or right leg in front. So then as it is comfortable to you. Other ways to place your arms and palms, it is just to relax them in this way, as is shown in the picture. So, or in this way. Now the arms actually have no any function in this meditation. That's why the only way it is to place them in such mode so that you don't feel them, you don't feel the weight of them. So then, these are unnecessary hand positions. In this meditation, you don't need this kind of hand positions called mudras, because after you concentrate on the breath, ultimately the breath becomes important and the body slowly becomes unimportant. So therefore, these mudras or hand position are not necessary. We can do them as you like, but it is of no use in this kind of meditation. So, and other positions are to sit on a stool, on a Caesar, that means a large cushion, or on a chair. So in all these three cases, the back or the spine is erect. So, and this is not a suitable posture. So then now, after explaining the it's called the position, the Buddha is going to explain about mindfulness of breathing, how to concentrate on the breath. And this is one way to practice mindfulness of breathing is called serenity meditation, because one concentrates on the breath in order to calm down the mind. So, and now the Buddha is going to explain the place of observing the breath. He says, establishing mindfulness at Parimukha, around or near the face or mouth. Here, the technical term Parimukha, which is very crucial for us to understand what it means, because some people, they don't know the meaning. So then Pari means around or near, Mukha means actually face, can be sometimes mouth. Both are used. So then, now regarding this explanation is why the Buddha did not put on the nose, for example, because actually we most of the time inhale from the nose. The reason is because some people, if they have short nose, they can't feel it's called the breath on the nose, they can feel it on the upper lip. So those who have normal nose, they can feel it in the nose, in the tip of the nose. So that's why the Buddha did not define any exact place where one has to observe. He told it around or near the face on the mouth. That is the area which is indicated by the arrows. So in order to understand this definition of Parimukha, it is to understand that what we have in front of our face is actually the nose or our mouth. So then that is where we have to concentrate our attention. So, and to give this clarification, there are other texts, or the Pāli text is called, which are canonical books, who give the more clear-cut explanation. There it is said, this mindfulness is well established at the nose tip, nasikage, or at the mark of the mouth, which means the upper lip. So this is what the commentator tells is the upper lip. Hence it is said establishing mindfulness at Parimukha. Therefore Parimukha means either at the nose tip or the upper lip. This is the area actually, a very narrow area which one has to concentrate and feel the breath. So there is also another canonical book which explains something similar. In this way, he sits down by establishing mindfulness at the nose tip, nasikage, or at the mark of the mouth, which is the upper lip. And this book gives also other explanation. It says he does not give attention to the in-breaths coming inside the body, but means the meditator does not give attention to the larynx, to the chest, or to the belly. So, or to the out breaths going outside the body. So then, therefore now these three places which are indicated by red in this chart should not be followed by the meditator, but concentrate just on the tip of the nose or on the upper lip. So, because if one follows the inhaling air inside the body as it travels in different bodily parts, one would then be practicing elements meditation in regard to the air element, but not mindfulness of breathing. And this is a different meditation practice which the Buddha taught about how to observe the air element all over the body. So it is not mindfulness of breathing. Even so, by meditating on the air element only, one doesn't even practice elements meditation fully, because it is required to also meditate on the other three elements, solid, liquid, heat element, and to see their correlation. Therefore, it can't be said that one either practices mindfulness of breathing correctly or elements meditation correctly if one follows the breaths inside the body. Hence, the Buddha advises in regard to mindfulness of breathing, let your mindfulness of breathing be well established in one's person at Parimukha. That means the nose tip or the upper lip. So when mindfulness of breathing is well established in one's person at Parimukha, any inclinations for outward and vexing thoughts cease to exist. Now, the verb the Buddha uses is established, and this indicates the placing and fixing of one's mindfulness at Parimukha, implying thus of not moving it hither and thither or onwards and backwards to any other place. The opposite of establish is disestablish, displace, change, move, remove, etc., which is not the case in Ānāpānasati samadhi. Therefore, you should establish your mindfulness at the tip of your nose, where the air strikes the nostrils, or at the upper lip. So, observe the natural flow of your in-breath and out-breath at the nostrils or at the upper lip. So, in this case now, try to feel the in-breath and out-breath at your nose. Usually, because most of the people have a normal nose, I will just tell on the tip of the nose, I will use the word tip of the nose for you to understand it better. So do not give attention to the in-breaths going inside the body, so or to the out-breaths going outside the body. So now the Buddha is going to describe the first step. And now, after explaining the position of the the place of observing the breath, the Buddha is going to explain the first step, how to practice now mindfulness. He says, ever mindful one breathes in, ever mindful one breathes out. Therefore, and that is the first step. So, and for each in-breath and for each out-breath, one should be mindful, should know what one observes, to remember what one observes. So then, and in this case, you also ever mindful breathe in, ever mindful breathe out. Do so for about 5 minutes. For the in breath, you mental note in breath. For the out breath, you mental note out breath. This mental noting is important to use words. For example, if you feel the breath, you use the word mentally in breath. If you feel the out breath, you use the word mentally out breath. So initially, these words are very important to use them in order to remind the mind what it has to observe. Otherwise, the mind does not know. We have to make our mind mindful of what we're observing by using these words. So do not use your eyes to pay attention to the breath. Pay attention to the sensation at the tip of your nose or to the movement of the air. When thoughts or feelings distract you, ignore them. Come back to the sensation of your breath. So therefore now try to come back to the sensation of the breath. So then, and ignore these thoughts. Don't try to push them away or to get involved with them. Simply throw your mind back to the breath. So, and mental note in breath, out breath. You have to continue mental noting. Use these words in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath, whenever we feel the in and out breath. So that is the second step is, the Buddha says, when one breathes in long, one understands I breathe in long. For the long in breath, you mental you have to be to understand it. When one breathes out long, one understands I breathe out long. So for the long one breath, one understands that it is a long out breath. So then, and then in this case, when you breathe in long, understand I breathe in long. For the long in-breath, you mentally note long in-breath. When you breathe out long, understand I breathe out long. For the long out-breath, you mentally note long out-breath. So long means here long time duration. Usually if we sit and observe our breath, you can feel that it takes some time for the breath to go in and for the out-breath to go out. So try to understand how I call the time. So you should not, that means we don't try to control the breath. We try to only understand its natural flow. In the first step, in breath, out breath, we don't make it artificially. We use only try to understand mindfully its natural flow. In this case also, we don't try to make the breath long or short. Try to understand only its natural flow. If we feel long out in breath, we mentally note long in breath. If we feel as called long out breath, you mentally note it's called not long out breath. This is the way how to do this. And another way it is, the Buddha says, when I'm breathing short, one understands I breathe in short. For the short breath, try to understand this. And when one breathes out short, and one understands I breathe out short. And for the short out breath, one should understand it accordingly. So then in this way also, when you also breathe in short, understand I breathe in short. And for the short in breath, you mentally note short in breath. When you breathe out short, understand I breathe out short. For the short out breath, you mentally note short out breath. So short means short time duration. So this is now the difference between the first step and the second step. It is that in the first step, we only grossly understand in breath, out breath, but we don't exactly know how long it lasts. So now in the second step, we try to see more details and to understand the duration also, because there is some time duration for the breath to go in and come out. We try to see more details. The more details we see, the more the mind becomes concentrated. So now, now the Buddha is going to explain the third step. He says, one trains thus, I shall breathe in, experience the whole breath body. Means to see the whole in breath. That is when you want to see not only part of the breath, but see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. So, and he says, one trains thus, I shall breathe out, experience the whole breath body. Here it is to try to understand the whole out breath, not only part of it, but the whole out breath. This is the Pāli text, and there is a technical term here which I are going to explain because this confuses some people. The technical term is here the body. Now, which in the Pāli, it is called kaya. If you see a word kaya here, it means body. And this confuses some meditators. They think maybe they observe the whole body. Maybe they have to observe the legs and hands and head and so forth. So we're going to say that this is not the case. And the meaning of the whole body or sabbakaya is described by the Buddha himself. He gives the definition. What means in this case body? So we're going to say it does not mean our legs and hands. It is the breath itself. So, and the body is used in a metaphorical sense. Now, the definition of kaya, body, in this context is given by the Buddha thus: I say that this is a certain body, kaya, among the bodies, namely the in-breath and out-breath. So, this is the Pāli text for those who want to check it. From this, we can understand that what means body here, it is nothing, any physical thing except the in-breath and out-breath. So therefore, sabakaya means in this context, the whole bodily process of the in-breath and out-breaths. And kaya, body, is used in a metaphorical sense. It is said so because the meditator at this step begins to lose the perception of the physical body and starts to perceive the whole breath as a body, namely as a bulk or mass of fat. So even in English, the word body, it is used sometimes in a metaphorical sense. That's why if we say in English, the body of English literature, so it does not mean legs and hands or like that, the head, but it means a collection, the bulk of whole English literature. If we say the diplomatic body of this country, we don't mean a person who has legs and hands, but means the whole group of diplomats. So something similar happens here. The Buddha explains this body as a metaphorical sense, which means the whole collection, the whole process, the whole bulk of mass of air. It has nothing to do with our hands and legs. So this can be understood as follows. Now, if the meditator breathes again and again, so there is a time when the breath becomes so prominent so that the perception of the body slowly disappears. So, and remains only the in-breath and out-breath. So this is called losing the perception of the physical body and perceiving the whole breath as a body, namely as a bulk of mass of air. So this can be seen by many meditators, because after they concentrate for a long time, slowly they lose the perception of the body and only the breath remains, the whole process of the breath. And this is what the Buddha means, to concentrate on the whole process of the breath and continue doing so. So therefore, now the third step, it is actually what you can do, it is also try to experience the whole in-breath at the tip of your nose. For the whole in-breath, mental note whole in-breath, and try to experience the whole out-breath at the tip of your nose. For the whole out-breath, you mental note whole out-breath. So now the difference between the two first steps, it is that the third step is we try to see more details to grasp the whole breath, not only part of it, because on the first step we just see in breath, out breath. Sometimes we understand the beginning, sometimes we don't. So then sometimes we understand the end, sometimes not. So the second step, we try to see more details how long time this in breath and out breath lasts. But on the third step, we try to see more details, to see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. So therefore now the whole breath body means we try to concentrate on the parimukha, which is on the tip nose on the touching point at the nose tip. So, and try to see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So then that means not only the beginning of the breath, not only the middle, not only the end, but the whole breath. So, and this concentration has to be done at the touching point when the breath strikes the nostrils. We don't move the breath inside the body or outside the body. I will give an example with a violin player. Now, if you see this, the violin player is called concentrating his mind, his eyes are concentrated where? On the touching point where the bow touches the chords. So that is actually his attention should be. And he does not give attention to the upper part of the bow or to the lower part of the bow, but on the touching point. Similarly, the meditator, if he concentrates on the breath, he does not give attention to the breaths who go inside the body or outside the body, but he concentrates on the touching point and tries to see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So this is how you can see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. Now, if he sees the part of the breath, means he sees only the beginning, or he sees only the middle, he sees the end, or beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, middle, end, beginning, end. So he does not see the whole of it. But what the Buddha insists here, to see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. Means from the beginning to the end, one tries to see the whole process, the whole kaya, which is called the whole body, it's called the whole mass, the whole bulk of the breath. So then in this case also, you also start with beginning and end of the breath. Try to see when the breath touching the nostrils, that is the beginning. When it stops touching the nostrils, at the end. And mental note, beginning, end. So, and try to start with also beginning, end of the out breath. When that the breath exceeds the body through the nostrils, you try to feel in the touching point when it begins touching the nostrils at the beginning, when it stops touching the nostrils at the end. And mental note, beginning, end. So this is a kind of exercise for the mind to see more details, more details. The more details you see, the more the mind gets concentrated on the breath. So then later, of course, you can try to see also beginning, middle, and end of the in-breath, and mental note, beginning, middle, end. So, and try to see also beginning, middle, end of the out breath, and mental note, beginning, middle, end. So now these words, we can use it in the at the start for the mind to get trained. Get trained to see these details. Later, you can skip these words after the mind knows what it has to do. So initially, these words are just to train the mind to observe more the details. Later, the words can be skipped. So now the Buddha is going to explain now the fourth step. Here he says, one trains thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, kaya sankara, I shall breathe in. And untrains thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, I shall breathe out. This means that even though the process of the breath may become tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing, one should not stop watching it, but continue paying attention to the in and out breath. Because some meditators, after the mind becomes calm, they think, oh, how nice, and then they enjoy the calmness. They forget to continue watching the breath. This is how the Buddha says here, I should not stop watching it, but continue paying attention to the in and out breath. So the first step is actually an advice to keep track with the breath. Don't forget the breath because the mind becomes calm. Don't just enjoy the calmness and just forget the breath. No. Try to train yourself towards the in and out breath. So now here there is one word who the Buddha uses, which is called bodily process. We're going to see the meaning of bodily process. Here, if you see again, the word kaya comes in, and sankara, it is a process. But this word kaya again confuses some people, and then think, oh, maybe this means the bodily process of other functions of the body. Maybe the heartbeat, maybe the blood circulation, and they can imagine all sorts of things. So now, in order to remove this confusion, we're going to explain this technical term. Now, the definition of kaya sankara is given in the suttas, the discourses of the Buddha. Thus, here the definition is, it says, in-breaths and out-breaths are a bodily process. These states are bodily, are bound up with the body. That is why in-breaths and out-breaths are bodily processes. So here's the Pāli text for those who want to check it. Actually, what this text says, that the body process is nothing else except the in-breaths and out-breaths. Is not any other bodily process. Again, there is another canonical book which says the same. What is the bodily process? Kaya Sankharo. Long in breaths, long out breaths, short in breaths, short out breaths are bodily. These states are bound up with the body and are bodily processes. So in this case also we can see that bodily process is not any other process in the body except the in breaths and out breaths. Therefore, one should continue watching the natural bodily process of the in and out breath at the parimukha, that means the nose tip or the upper lip, even though it may become tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing. So now we have actually explained these 3 steps. And the 4th step is actually to encourage the meditator to continue fixing one's mind on the in and out breath, although some calmness and tranquility may appear in the mind. So then the 4th step is of no much practical use, it's just to encourage the meditator, but the other 3 steps are very important. So it's good to start for the 1st step grossly, and after go to the 2nd step to see whether the breath is long or short, and to see more details, one goes to the 3rd step to see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. So, and this is a method which is called empirical method, because you have to feel the breath, to experience the breath, to be with the breath. So, and this is how some meditators can succeed of concentrating the mind. But if the mind is very occupied with so many other things and many thoughts come, so one should ignore them. So also that some people, they might have some experiences which can really distract the mind. And if they concentrate on the breath, it's difficult to concentrate because of the distracting thoughts. Now I'm going to explain another method which is called counting method, which is against distracting thoughts and feelings. So if there are sometimes distracting thoughts or feelings, you may try the following counting method to focus the mind to the breath. So now this counting method is very simple. You have to count from 1 to 5 in order to avoid these distracting thoughts. This is count, here I will explain this. It is very simple. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 1. So at the end of the out-breath, you put the number 1. So, and then for the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 2. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 3. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 4. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 5. To summarize, it is like that. In-breath, out-breath, you mental note 1. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 2. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 3. For the in-breath, out-breath, you mental note 4. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 5. You go up to 5 and return to 1. If you forget a number, then you again start from 1. This is how we can do this till the mind becomes tranquil and calm. Then you can go back to the 1st method, which is empirical. In order to feel the breath, and when the thoughts have gone, so then when the mind has already become calm with the counting method. So then if however the distracting thoughts or feelings persist and are tough, you may try the following tougher counting method by repeating the same number of the in-breath and out-breath. Here, for example, we have the 2nd counting method. It is the same, but you have to repeat the same number. For example, for the in-breath, you mental note 1. For the out-breath, you mental note 1. You repeat the same number for the in-breath and out-breath. For the in-breath, you mental note 2. For the out-breath, you mental note 2. For the in-breath, you mental knot 3. For the out-breath, you mental knot 3. For the in-breath, you mental knot 4. For the out-breath, you mental knot 4. And for the in-breath, you mental knot 5. For the out-breath, you mental knot 5. So you go up to 5 and come back to 1. So in summary, this is the method. In-breath, mental knot 1. For the out breath, you mental knot 1. For the in breath, you mental knot 2. For the out breath, you mental knot 2. For the in breath, you mental knot 3. For the out breath, you mental knot 3. For the in breath, you mental knot 4. For the out breath, you mental knot 4. For the in breath, you mental knot 5. For the out breath, you mental knot 5. So because you repeat the same number twice, this is how you can remember it better. So this is why you can use the first method, which is more simple. You use the number only once, or if there are many, many distracting thoughts and the mind doesn't become calm, you can use this counting method. Because you repeat the same number twice, you can remember it faster and the mind gets back to the breath faster. So, when the mind becomes calm because of the counting method, you may return to the experience the whole breath. So, and to see this, the whole breath and so forth, try to see the beginning, middle, and end of the in and out breath, and mentally note beginning, middle, end. So this is how this practice has to be done. So if one continues, so the concentration increase, and the sign of concentration may appear. We're going to speak about the sign of concentration. So because many meditators have experienced it. Now, the sign of concentration is that light may appear in front of oneself because of this deep concentration. If one achieves a deep concentration, this can appear maybe after several days, can be after 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It depends from person to person how much effort one puts on the concentration. Now, because there is one term here which is called nimitta, and some people they're wondering, did ever the Buddha speak about nimitta? So then I'm going to give some reference here for you to say, yes, there are many references in the discourse of the Buddha, what is what appears. And nimitta appears many times in samadhi nimitta or samatha nimitta. These are words the Buddha used. And samadhi nimitta, these words occurs about 25 times in the Sutta Pitaka. This collection of the discourse of the Buddha, and refers to various samatha and vipassana meditations depending on the context. Samatha nimitta, these words occurs about 11 times in the Sutta Pitaka. It refers to samatha meditations. Here it is one sutta where the Buddha explains about samatha nimitta. He says there is the sign of serenity meditation, samatha nimitta, frequently giving careful attention to it. This is the nutriment for the enlightenment factor of concentration. Now, the sign of serenity, samatha nimitta, is explained by commentaries and sub-commentaries as serenity itself, as well as its object, that is patibhaga nimitta, or counterpart sign. According to the commentaries, there are 3 types of nimitta. So this is the first is called preparatory sign, parikama nimitta. The second is called acquired sign, uggaha nimitta. The third is called counterpart sign, patibhaga nimitta. The meanings of nimitta are sign, a mark, an image, mental image, reflex image. And what means preparatory sign? This means what the Buddha has already told about establishing mindfulness at parimukha. That means once you feel the breath on the touching point on the nose, this is an indication, this is a sign as called that you observe in the breath, you can follow the breath, and that's called nimitta, this preparatory sign. If you don't feel the breath on the nose, how you can concentrate? There is no way to concentrate. Therefore, try to feel the breath on the nose and especially on the tip of the nose, and to see the in-breath and out-breath. This touching point at Parimokkha is actually the preparatory sign in order for somebody to start. And there is the acquired sign, the still unsteady image, which arises when the mind has reached a high degree of concentration. If one concentrates for several days, sometimes, as I told you, can be longer. So this sign can appear. It is a light which appears and it is connected with the breath. It may appear, this light may appear in the beginning diffused, but afterwards becomes very condensed, and comes close and gets connected with the breath. So, and this light appears actually as called just like a friend which comes to help for the meditator to see more details on the breath. So, and there is the counterpart sign, Padibhaga Nimitta. This is an entirely clear and immovable image arising at a much higher degree of concentration. That means if this acquired sign becomes, the concentration becomes stronger and stronger, so the light in the acquired sign becomes more and more intense, so that it covers the whole face of the meditator. So then soon after this image arises, the stage of access concentration, Upachara Samadhi, is reached. So if access concentration reaches, this is actually when the meditator can have access to the attainment of the third jhana, which is called the full absorption. The jhana sometimes is translated ecstasy. So because it has a very high degree of bliss and tranquility and rapture, so that is can be called as ecstasy. Sometimes it's called absorption or full absorption to the in and out breath, or even to the light. Because in this case, there are two objects, the in and out breath and also the light, and the mind becomes fully absorbed to it. So there are 5 factors of the third jhana. There is applied thought, sustained thought, rapture, bliss, and on-pointedness of the mind in a very high degree. So therefore, the meditator's mind at that moment is not empty, but it has applied thought. Means this applied thought is regarding the in-breath and out-breath. His mind can't think anything else except the in-breath and out-breath, or sometimes of the light. Sustained thought, it is when the mind his thought gets sustained again on the breath or on the light, and by because it is quite a high degree of tranquility. This is a rapture. Rapture means a high degree of joy, and there is a bliss and one point of the mind. That means the mind can't go to any other point, just stays with the breath. So it is fixed to the breath. It can't think anything else except of the breath. So it gets unified, it gets this oneness on the breath and does not move in any other place, in any other point. So now regarding this light, we are going to explain how it happens. Now the bright light or the light varies depending on the meditator. For some, it is a bright light such as the morning star, a bright ruby, a gemstone, or a bright pearl. For others, it is like a moon or a sun. So why is the difference between meditators who see these different kinds of lights? So the reason is that because of different perceptions. Now, I'm going to give an example here with a prisma. When a white ray of light falls on the prisma, so if you see it from the other side, you can see the rainbow effect. But it depends from which angle you can see it. If you see it from a certain angle, you might see the red color become more prominent. If you see from another angle, maybe the yellow is more prominent. If you see from another angle, you can see the blue is more prominent. Something similar happens with meditators. It depends according to the perception from which angle they see this light. and they can perceive different shades of light. So, and this light is the product of intense mental concentration. It does not come anything from outside anywhere, from the sky like that. No, it is a product of mental limitation, but it is just photons that appear in the meditator's mind due to the condensation of electromagnetic waves that exist in our bodies. So now here you have the electromagnetic spectrum, and we know that if the certain waves become very intense, they actually produce a kind of rainbow effect. So because of concentration of electromagnetic waves, it's called, it is a concentration of electromagnetic waves because of mental concentration that the meditator can see these lights. Now, regarding these electromagnetic waves in our body, there is proof from Kirlian photography, means there's scientific research which has been done that our body has electromagnetic waves. Not only our body, any living cells, but also plant cells, they also emit and have these electromagnetic waves. So, and what is basically recorded in Kirlian photography are the very natural phenomena in our body, such as pressure, electric grounding, humidity, and temperature. And changes in humidity could sometimes reflect changes in emotions, barometric pressure, and electric voltage, among many others, will produce different auras. So therefore now these emotions play a big role for this electric wave in our body to change, because the emotions in the first jhana are so strong, it's called like rapture and bliss. So, and the concentration is also very high. This can produce a kind of waves which the meditator can see them as light. So the mind itself has no light, but it can produce light. The mind is not matter, as called, but it can produce matter, as called material properties in our body, which can be manifest as light. So now regarding this light, there are many misinterpretations by mystics, and we're going to see how these are far-fetched interpretations, because those who have never practiced, analyzed this light, they can't understand it. They just enjoyed it. They can't understand it. So this analysis of this light can be done especially with insight meditation, vipassana meditation, which the Buddha has taught and through which he attained Buddhahood. So because vipassana is very analytic, one can see in microscopic way many mental material phenomena, analyze them. If one has not this technique of vipassana, this light is very easy to misinterpret it. So misinterpretations are like the mortar pure light of infinite consciousness, which is completely wrong, the cosmic light, which is wrong, the cosmic consciousness, which is wrong, cosmic energy, God, God's grace, which is all wrong, the union of man with the divine, enlightenment, infinite ego, the soul, the spirit, Brahma or his grace, Bodhisattva or his grace. So all these are misinterpretations, because people who give these names, they actually did not analyze this light in order to understand it. They just enjoyed it. So now regarding this light, in the beginning, as I told you, it appears in a very small degree. After it becomes the concentration becomes higher and higher and higher, it appears in a higher degree. So, and then ultimately one can reach the jhana, as called the full absorption, which sometimes called ecstasy. So on actually in Buddhism, we use this kind of concentration not just to enjoy it, and this bliss of not to enjoy it, but we use this kind of concentration because it has the power to produce a high degree of tranquility. And if the mind is very tranquil, it is very easy to practice vipassana, which is more analytic, in order to analyze the mind in metta and see in microscopic way how the mechanism behind the body and the mind. So, and on to overcome attachment to mental and material phenomena. So, and now I'll explain the steps in Ānāpānasati samadhi. So I will just repeat this before we start meditation. But one thing is that people who have difficulty practicing Ānāpānasati, means mindfulness of breathing, due to the fact that they might have experienced something bad in their life, which distracts the mind so much so that they are not able to concentrate on the breath. Let's see, there are many negative emotions from people who carry with them because they have some bad experiences. Once they go and concentrate on the breath, they will find difficulty to observe the breath. So therefore, the Buddha teaches another meditation, which is called meditation of friendliness, how to overcome these negative emotions to produce this kind of friendly feelings, positive feelings towards oneself and others. So, and to calm down the mind. So, and today also, we all will include this kind of meditation for people who have difficulty practicing mindfulness of breathing. So we're going to explain the meaning of metta. Metta comes from the word mitta. In Sanskrit is called mitra, which means a friend. So its real meaning is the disposition of a friend, mitta se bhavo, that is friendliness. It is a friendly goodwill and wish for the welfare and happiness of all, wishing, may all beings be well and safe, may they be happy, including oneself, of course. The aim of metta, of friendliness, is to abandon anger. Therefore, now anger can be abandoned by the development of friendliness. Hence, the Buddha says, this is the escape from anger, ill will, hate, the liberation of the mind by friendliness. And he also again says, cultivate the meditation of friendliness, for by cultivating the meditation of friendliness, anger disappears. Again, he says, there is the liberation of the mind by friendliness, frequently giving wise attention to it. This is the denourishing of the arising anger that has not yet arisen, and of the increase and strengthening of anger that has already arisen. So now, why the Buddha insists about anger? Because most of the negative emotions, they come because of anger, displeasure. And once we are displeased with things around us or with people around us, even with ourselves, we are displeased, we get angry. So, and this anger can produce stress, can produce fear, can produce jealousy, can produce all kinds of negative emotions. So then this is how first step is one has to actually, with metta meditation, overcome this kind of displeasure, this kind of angry mood towards oneself and towards others. One thing we're going to explain before it's called linguistic term, it's called linguistic explanation we have to give regarding metta. It is that metta does not mean love. So many you may find some translations with the love is actually giving as metta. We can see that this is not the case. Now, the Pāli word for love is pema and piya. In Sanskrit, it's called prem and priya, and in Hindi, it is prem and piyar. Now, these languages are interrelated because they are Indian languages. So, and they are actually there is not much difference between them. Even in Hindi, if you want to learn Hindi, how to say love in Hindi, here are the words. you can either tell PR or Prem. Prem is, of course, the most common. And love implies a strong emotion of affection and attachment, which in turn can bring sorrow and fear if that love is not fulfilled. That's why the Buddha says, from love, pema, piya, springs sorrow, from love springs fear. For him who is wholly free from love, there is no sorrow, whence then fear. The same he says about craving, tanha, the origin of existential suffering, dukkha samudaya, making him to understand that love is a form of craving and attachment. Thus he states, from craving, tanha, springs sorrow, from craving springs fear. For him who is wholly free from craving, there is no sorrow, whence then fear. However, instead of love, he urges his disciples to develop other noble qualities towards oneself and others, such as Mettā, which literally means friendliness or a friendly disposition to oneself and others. So, and Karuna, which is compassion, and Mudita, sympathetic joy, and Upekkha, equanimity. Now, most Westerns, they confuse these terms. For example, if they are friendly towards others, they use the word love. If they have compassion for others, you use the word love. So if they have sympathetic joy to others, you use love. For every occasion, they use this love so much, ultimately they don't distinguish between what means friendliness, what means compassion, what means also sympathetic joy. So in this case, now in Buddhism, we must be very discreet and to use these terms. And the Buddha insists mostly on friendliness because it has less attachment. If you are friendly, you can help other people. You can actually do many good things for them. You don't need to feel this kind of attachment towards them. If you have compassion, the same, if you have sympathetic joy, these are very noble qualities. These noble qualities are actually what the Buddha encourages people to develop. So now we're going to explain metta meditation as serenity meditation. As already told, metta is the escape from mental freedom from animosity, hostility, ill feeling, antagonism, enmity, malice, resentment, bitterness, antipathy, ill will, anger, hate, fear, sorrow, jealousy, stress, anything we call negative emotion. Therefore, if you have anger in your mind, if you have hate in your mind, if you have fear in your mind, if you have sorrow in your mind, if you have jealousy, if you have stress in your mind, so that is the time you can actually sit down and develop metta. The way to do so, it is just to sit down in a comfortable position. And if, for example, you have anger, you can wish yourself, may I be without anger. You try to bring the image of yourself in your mind. So at least pay all the attention to your body and wish yourself, may I be without anger again and again. The center of attention will be you, or you can take the whole of your body and give attention to yourself by wishing me without anger, because if we have anger, the whole our nervous system gets affected. So if there are some spots in your body when you can feel some discomfort, you can concentrate on that spot. So, but try to keep track with yourself as called by wishing may I be without anger. So if there are memories coming in your mind from the past when you remember how you got angry with this person or some situation, again, you take yourself as an object, wish yourself may I be without anger. So either in the present, on the present moment or past moments, try to concentrate on yourself by wishing may I be without anger. But if you have hate in your mind, you can wish may I be without hate. Hate is a high degree of anger. If you have fear, you can wish may I be without fear. If you have sorrow, you can wish may I be without sorrow. If you have jealousy in your mind, you can wish may I be without jealousy. If you have stress in your mind, you may wish may I be without stress. So whatever negative emotions you think that occupies your mind, you wish to get to get rid of it, to be free of it, or free from it. So now by doing this wishing, we don't actually try to push these negative emotions away. We try to withdraw our mind, to take our mind away from this emotion, because once our mind gets detached from this emotion, does not get involved with it, does not get dragged along with it, and once this is done, then you can see that this emotion has no more power. It loses its power, its grip, and goes away. This is why the Buddha says how to denourish this negative emotion by withdrawing the mind and wishing, may I be without this emotion, may I be free from it. So this is how we don't nourish this emotion. We don't allow our mind to get involved and dragged along with it. So we don't try to suppress this emotion or to fight with it. Just simply withdraw our mind by wishing, may I be without this emotion. So if you do this very often, you can see that slowly these negative emotions have no more nourishment. They can't stay in the mind because we don't support them. So if we get involved with them, we drag along, we can support them and then multiply. So then after, you can see that the mind becomes slowly calm and more calm, and this emotion disappear. Then you can wish yourself, may I be happy. That is actually how you can arouse positive emotions. And to be happy or happiness is what most people wish, because I don't know whether you know anybody who gets up early in the morning from his bed and wishes, may I be unhappy today. Most of the people, they wish to be happy. So that means, and happiness means a state without problems, without worries, without stress, and many good things in life. Therefore, this word happiness includes all positive things, how people wish to live. And you can actually arouse this happiness and and by wishing yourself, may I be happy, be happy, be happy. And if you remember instances in your life where you have felt happy, you can just take yourself as an object and wish yourself, may I be happy. Either in the present moment or past moments, whatever you remember yourself, whatever you consider yourself, wish yourself, may I be happy. So you can see that you can arouse this happiness within yourself, because positive words can produce positive emotions. Words play a big role in our daily life. If we use positive thoughts all the time, you can see that positive emotions also arise. So this is how we can deal this negative emotion, to remove them from our mind so that they don't overcome us. So now, after you feel happy yourself, so then you can also wish other people, may he, she be happy. Any friend you remember, any family members, so whoever comes in your mind, you can wish them to be happy. What you do in this case, it is you don't only feel yourself happy, you can share this happiness with others. And happiness, as we know, it does not depend only on us, depends on other people, how we interact with other people, how other people interact with us. So therefore, now to have a good relation with other people, so it is good to wish them also very positive thoughts. And the fact is like a tennis ball. If you take a tennis ball and hit it on the wall, so it will come back to you. In the same way, if you wish other people to be happy, you also feel happy. So this is how our happiness actually can be increased if we have also positive thoughts towards other people, not only towards ourselves, but towards other people. So you can expand this, it's called this friendliness, friendly feeling towards yourself and others, and you can feel that the mind becomes calm. So if the mind becomes calm, and if you return to the breath, you can see the breath is very smooth. It almost effortless. You can effortlessly, you can concentrate on the breath, and you can attain very high degree of concentration. So this metta meditation, of course, you can use it for any other occasions, not only because you want to practice Ānāpānasati, but in any other occasion when you feel these negative emotions, even while you're walking, sitting, and lying down, you can use this meditation, because this emotion does not mean because they come while you only sit. No, it may come when you walk, when you lie down, or when you stand. So therefore, whenever this emotion arises, you can wish yourself may be without negative emotion and try to overcome it. So then I'm going to conclude our class today regarding this presentation.